Assalamualaikum and good day. So today we are going to continue with lecture 3 of chapter 9, which is it's a totally different application of differentiation. So before this, we are directly use the derivative of x or derivative of y respect to x or an implicit function. But now we want to apply the differentiation in real life involving economics and business. So this thing is really new to you guys, or maybe some of you have learned in your high school in accounts. But this is in mathematics perspective. Okay, so for this lecture, we are going to focus on the last subtopic of the chapter 9, which is application of differentiation, where the learning outcomes are at the end of the lessons, students should be able to express the relationship between cost, revenue, and profit. And then to find the average cost, marginal revenue, and marginal profit. So what is cost function? Okay, fungsi untuk cost yang melambangkan kos perniagaan kita. So, Cx representing the cost function, which is the total cost to produce X units of products. So, how many budget that we need to have to launch some products. Okay, so if X is the number of units of a product produced in some time interval, then total cost Cx is equal to a fixed cost add up with variable cost. So this fixed cost, what are the types of fixed costs? Okay, the fixed cost is the cost incurred when no unit product is produced. That is fixed cost equal to C of 0. So when we didn't do anything, we still need to come up to prepare the cost for it. So what is average cost? So average cost, we represent it as C bar of X, which is equal to the cost function divided by X units. So marginal cost is the derivative of C prime, means that we have to differentiate the X differentiate the C respect to X. So differentiate the cost function respect to X units. So the marginal cost can be interpreted as the extra cost incurred by a firm as an extra unit of output is produced at production level of X unit. Okay. So let's see some example. Given the cost function Cx equal to 20 plus 5x minus 0.1 x squared. The total cost in RM to manufacture X units of a product. Find the fixed cost function. What is the fixed cost function? The one without the variables. So what do you think about the cost function? So let's say we substitute x equal to 0. So when x equal to 0 is our fixed cost function. So C0. How about the average? What is the formula for average cost function? So it will be C of x divided by x. So we have the cost function, we divide with x unit. And C2, and we need to interpret of the C2. The marginal cost function means that we have to find C prime x, which is equal to dC dx. We differentiate the cost function with respect to x. And C prime 2, and then we need to interpret. So we have the C prime from the question D. Now we just substitute the value x equal to 2, and then we have to interpret. So let's see how this works. So the solution here, Cx is equal to 20 plus 5x minus 0.1 x squared. So actually directly we can just state the fixed cost, which is the constant of the function. Okay, or you can also substitute x equal to 0. So 20 plus 5 of 0 minus 0.1 of 0 squared is equal to 20. So our fixed cost is equal to Rm 20 ringgit. So the average cost function means that the C bar of x, we just have to differentiate to divide the cost function with x. So what is our cost function? It's 20 plus 5x minus 0.1 x squared. So divide everything by x. So we will have 20 over x plus 5 minus 0.1 x. So this is our average cost function. Okay, so for question C, they ask you to find the C bar of 2 and interpret. So C bar is the average cost function. You have the average cost function by the question B, which is equal to 20 over x plus 5 minus 0.1 x. What you need to do is just substitute the value of x equal to 2. So we have 20 over 2 plus 5 minus 0.1 of 2, which is equal to 14.8. So the average cost that you have to spend for producing 2 units of products, we have equal to Rm 14 ringgit 80 cent. So at a production level of 2 units, the average cost of producing a unit is Rm 14.8. So during the exam, RM is important in application in business and economics. So that's why every time we do the conclusion, we have to put RM for the results, depending on the question. So cost, profit, revenue, price, demand function. So we have to put the value the unit RM. And then the first question is the marginal cost function. What is marginal cost function? It's C prime x. C prime means that we have to differentiate the cost function. So differentiate 20, we get 0. Differentiate 5x, we get 5. Differentiate 0.1 x squared, we get negative 0.2 x. So we have this as our marginal cost function. And then for question E, they ask you to find C prime 2 and interpret. So we just substitute the value of 2 into the marginal cost function. So we have C prime 2 equal to 5 minus 0.2 of 2, which is equal to 4.6. So how to interpret? What is 4.6? 4.6 talking about the marginal cost when x equal to 2. So at producing 2 units, at a production level of 2 units, the production cost is increased at a rate of 4.6 units per unit of product. In other words, the cost of producing the third unit of the product is 4 ringgit and 60 cents. Okay, so why? Because marginal is talking about the cost that we need to produce every time we need to produce, the cost that we need to spend every time we want to produce the next unit. Okay, so that's why we have this as the statement. Okay, so this is like a schema to answer this type of question about marginal. Okay, so let's see the next example. So example 2. The total cost in RM to manufacture X units of a product per day is given by the cost function Cx is equal to 8x cubed minus 36x squared plus 48x plus 10. And then find the average cost function. So we have to find C bar of x, and then the marginal cost function means that we have to find C prime x, and lastly the average cost when 20 units of the products are manufactured, means that we want to find average is C bar of 20. So what is our Cx? Cx is 8x cubed minus 36x squared plus 48x plus 10. To find the average, we just have to divide with x, the units. the the quantity. So C bar is equal to 8x squared minus 36x plus 48 plus 10 over x. Everything here should be divided by x. So we have the C bar x already. So for question B, the marginal cost function, so we have to find C prime x. So C prime x is dc dx. So differentiate each of the term. So differentiate the cost function, not the C bar, the cost itself. So we have 3 multiplied by 8, which is 24, and then x to the power of 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2. And then minus 36 multiplied by 2 is 52x to the power of 72x, sorry. 52 72x to the power of 2 minus 1, which is 1, and then 48x will be 48, and plus 0 differentiate will get 0 because it's a constant. So now we have the marginal cost already. Now for question C, the average cost when 20 units of the product are manufactured. So we want to find average cost when x equal to 20. So we have the C bar x, which is the average cost function already. We just have to substitute the x equal to 20. Okay, so C bar of 20 equal to 8 of 20 squared minus 36 of 20 plus 48 plus 10 over 20, which is equal to RM 2528.50 cents. Okay, so that's for the question C. Okay, so now we have learned about cost. For cost, it's a cost that we need to prepare to produce one product if x is equal to one quantity. But it will be different when x is equal to 2 product and 3 product. Okay, usually for cost we will have a fixed cost and variable cost. Okay, variable cost. So this fixed cost usually a constant. Why? Because when we substitute x equal to 0, when there is no products produced, then we still have a cost that we need to prepare. So what are the type of fixed costs? Usually it involves the rent of the factory or the booth or the shop, things like that, and then the wages of the employees, yes, and then all the bills. So even though we don't have product produced by the factory, we still have to run because of the we still have costs to cover because we have these things, these fixed costs. Okay, so let's continue. Example 3. A company produces X units of calculator per day with the total cost function Cx, where Cx is equal to x cubed minus 9x squared plus 24x plus 2. So this is our cost function. Represent the total cost in Rm to produce X unit of calculator. Determine the average cost function, which is this is equal to C bar of X. And then for question B, average cost when 5 units of calculator produced. So the units X is equal to 5. So C bar of 5, and then find the marginal cost is C prime X. So for question A, the average cost function. So how to find average? The formula C bar X is equal to Cx divided by X. So everything here should be divided by X. So x cubed minus 9x squared plus 24x plus 2 is divided by x, which is equal to x squared minus 9x plus 24 plus 2 over x. So for question B, the average cost when 5 units of calculator are produced means that when x is equal to 5, what is the C bar? So C bar 5. So C bar 5 is equal to, we just substitute x equal to 5. We have 5 squared minus 9 of 5 plus 24 plus 2 over 5. Okay, so what is the answer? We get 4.4, which is we need to give in the RM form. The unit is RM. So RM 4 ringgit and 40 same. And lastly, the question, the marginal cost function. So we want to find the marginal cost function. Marginal means that prime, the derivative of the cost function. So C prime x is equal to, differentiate the cost function with respect to x. So differentiate x cubed, we get 3x squared. Differentiate 9x squared, we get 18x. And differentiate 24x, we get 24. And differentiate 2, we get 0. So this is our marginal cost function. That's all for example 3. So let's continue with the next concept in business and economics. So we need to know what is the revenue function. So what do you understand with revenue function? So if Px is a price demand function. Okay. So what is price demand function? So sometimes for a certain product we have this function x, price demand function. The P small x, it depend on how many units produced. So the price will depend on the units produced. So maybe there is so not much demand from the customer, so the price might be higher for each of these. Okay, so we have this price demand function. We let it as small letter of P of x. So what is revenue? So the total revenue, or represented by Rx, is equal to the price demand function multiplied by the quantity. Okay, so how many quantity that we are selling? So the revenue will have to multiply the units of the products sold with the price demand function. So what is the price for each of these? And then multiply with the x, the unit that we have sold. Okay, so this is the formula to find the revenue function. So the same as the cost function, what is the average revenue? So we just have to represent it as R bar of x, means that we have to divide with x. Okay, Rx divided by x is actually the same thing as the price demand function. And marginal revenue, so R prime x, so we just have to differentiate the R respect to x, the same as the cost function. So we have these three things that we need to know: the revenue function, average revenue function, marginal revenue function. So the marginal revenue can be interpreted as extra revenue from an extra unit sold at a number of units demanded, which is x. So let's see this example 4. So a company manufactures a type of microwave oven. The weekly demand function is given by capital Px equal to 400 minus x. So this is weekly demand function, means that is a price demand function. So it's the same as price demand function. Okay, so where Ps is the price and x is the quantity demanded. So find the total revenue function, means that we need to find Rx. So what is Rx? So Rx is equivalent to x multiplied by the price of the price function, or price demand function. And then B, average revenue function. So we have to find R bar of x. So we have the R from part A. So R bar will be Rx divided by x. And then marginal revenue function is R prime x. And lastly, the marginal revenue when 20 machines are sold. So marginal is R prime. So when 20 machines are sold, means that the x is equal to 20. So for question D, it's R prime of 20. So let's see how we solve this question. So total revenue function, so it's a x multiplied by Px. So x multiplied by, what is our Px? Our Px is 400 minus x. So x multiplied by 400 minus x, which is equal to 400x minus x squared. So we have the total revenue function. For question B, average revenue function means that the R bar of X. So what is R bar of X? It's a Rx divided by X, which is equal to 400X minus X squared we get from A, and divided by X, which is equal to 400 minus X. R bar of X, not Rx, R bar of X. For question C, marginal revenue function. So we represent it as R prime of X, means that we have to differentiate the revenue function with respect to X. Okay, so let's see, R prime of X is the differentiate R respect to X. So we have to differentiate respect to X of the function Rx, which is 400X minus X squared. So differentiate 400x, we get 400. Differentiate negative x squared, we get negative 2x. So we skip the step here. And then for question D, okay, so this is D of R dx. So for question D, marginal revenue when 20 machines are sold, so R prime of 20. So we just have to substitute 20 into the R prime function. So we have 400 minus 2 of 20, which is equal to 360. So it should be in RM form. Because we substitute the quantity, it should be in RM form. So the unit here is RM, which is RM 360 ringgit. So the marginal revenue to sold 20 machine is 360 ringgit. Okay, now example 5. The demand function in RM for X units of an electronic component is given by Px equal to 500 minus 0.1x. So demand function or price function or price demand function is the same. Okay, so this is our price demand function. Find revenue function, so we want to find Rx. Average revenue function, so R bar X, and marginal revenue function, so R prime X, and marginal revenue when X equal to 20, so R prime 20. So what is our revenue function? So Rx is, so formula is the quantity multiplied with the price demand function. So X multiplied by Px. So what is our X? Our X is equal to X, and then Px is equal to 500 minus 0.1x. So the answer will be 500x minus 0.1x squared. And for question B, the average revenue function, so R bar X. So R bar X is equal to Rx divided by X, which is equal to 500x minus 0.1x squared divided by X. So the answer will be 500x minus 0.1x. And question C, to find the marginal revenue function means that we have to find the R prime X, which is differentiate the R respect to X. So differentiate the function. What is the revenue? 500x minus 0.1x squared. So differentiate 500x, we get 500. Differentiate 0.1x squared will be 0.2x. So 500 minus 0.2x is our marginal revenue function. Let's see, is it correct or not? Okay, because it's marginal, it should be R prime. So the answer is 500 minus 0.2x. Okay, so now for question D, the marginal revenue when x equal to 20 means that we substitute the x by 20, we get 500 minus 0.2 of 20. This is R prime X from C. So we get, what is the answer? 496 ringgit. It should be in form of RM. The value should be in RM unit because we substitute the units already into the function. Okay? Okay, so let's continue. So example 6. Given the demand function Px equal to 200 minus 0.02x, find the revenue function. So revenue function is Rx, right? So what is Rx? Rx is x dot px. And then average revenue function, so R bar x. Average is bar, so it should be Rx divided by x. And R bar 100 and interpreted. So means that we just have to substitute the value x equal to 100 into the function of average revenue function. And then for D, the marginal revenue function is R prime x. So we just have to differentiate the R respect to x. And R prime 100 and interpreted, so question E. So we just have to substitute x equal to 100 into the function in D. So let's see the revenue function. The revenue function is Rx equal to xpx. So x multiplied by 200 minus 0.002x. So the answer will be 200x minus 0.002x square. And then the next question is the average revenue function, which is R bar x equal to Rx divided by x. So Rx is equal to 200x minus 0.02x square, and we divide everything with x, so we have 200 minus 0.002x. So for question C, R bar of 100, and we need to interpret. So we have R bar already from question B. So we just replace the x by 100. So we have 200 minus 0.002 of 100, which is equal to 199.8. So at a production level of 100 units, the average revenue of producing a unit is 199.80. So its average revenue we get if we sold at a production level of 100 unit. So this conclusion is standard. So now for question D, marginal revenue function. So we have Rx, we need to find R prime x, which is differentiate the Rx, which is equal to differentiate 200, x we get 200, differentiate 0.002x squared, we get 0.004x. So this is our marginal revenue function. And for question C as E, they ask for the R prime 100 and interpreted. So means that we just have to replace the x by 100. So we get R prime 100 equal to 200 minus 0.004 of 100, which is equal to 119.6. So how do we conclude, interpret this situation? So we, as usual, at a production level of 100 units, the revenue gain from the producing the 101 product is RM199.60. Means that if you want to produce the next units of the product, we will gaining the revenue equal to 199.60. Okay, now we have come to this part of revenue. So what is cost? What is revenue? Cost is the money that we have to prepare lah. Cost lah. Revenue is our hasil. Hasil kalau kita dah produce satu produk tu. So kalau satu produk, berapa hasil dia? Kalau 100 produk, berapa hasil dia? Okay, so this two is important for the next part. Okay, what is the next part? The next part also the same as the cost. Revenue also get we have the revenue, total revenue function. We have the average revenue. We also have the marginal revenue. So we need to know how to interpret lah. So the next part, it's related with the cost and revenue, which is the profit function. So what is profit? So direct translate is a untung. Okay, keuntungan kita. So usually kalau untung tu after what? After we subtract all the modal lah, modal yang kita keluarkan. Kita jual barang, dapat duit, and then kita tolak semua modal-modal. So this is profit lah. So the same concept, profit is actually all the hasil, the total revenue that we have, and then we have to subtract with the cost, the modal that we have come out to produce the products. Okay. So means that profit usually we represent as pi x here. So the total revenue will be equal to Rx function, and the total cost will be the Cx function. Why total cost? We can have fixed cost and variable cost. So the cost function itself is total cost function. So to find the profit function, we just have to subtract the cost from the revenue. That's all. Hasil tolak dengan modal. So the same thing as revenue and cost. For profit, we have to find out also the average profit, which is pi bar x, which is equal to pi x divided by x, and then the marginal profit, which is equal to pi prime x, which is equal to differentiate the profit function respect to x. Okay, these three all need to find the average and marginal. So the marginal profit can be interpreted as extra profit earned from an extra unit produced and sold at units of production X. Okay, it's a positive value, means that we are gaining more profit. If a negative value means that we are losing more if we produce extra 1 unit. An extra unit means that 1 unit. So let's see some example. Example 7. The revenue function in RM for selling X kilo of butter cake is given by Rx equal to 30x minus x squared. Okay, so the total cost to produce X kilogram of butter cake is given by the cost function Cx equal to 10x minus 20. So this is our revenue function, right? And then this is our cost function, our jualan, hasil kita, dan kita punya modal. Find the profit function. So the question asks you to find the profit function, average profit function, marginal profit function. So from the revenue and cost function, how to find the profit function? Okay, so to find the profit function, it's equivalent to the revenue minus cost. So what is our revenue? 30x minus x squared minus cost function. So the cost function should be in the bracket lah. Don't forget the bracket. So minus of in the bracket of 10x minus 20. So to solve this, we need to open the bracket lah. So it will be 30x minus x squared minus 10x plus 20. Why plus? Negative multiply with negative. So we have negative x squared only, negative x squared, and then 30x minus 10x equal to 20x, and then plus 20, it's alone, so plus 20. So this is our profit function. Okay. Usually, we will only have profit function of negative. Why negative? Because later we will learn about this lah. It's important lah. It will indicate our growth of business lah. So later we will see how this negative of x squared, which is a set function, is important lah. Okay, let's continue with the next question. So this thing will come later lah for the next lecture. So for question B, they ask for the average profit function. What is average? It's pi bar. So pi bar equal to pi x divided by the unit x. So what is pi x? Pi x we found out already, which is negative x squared plus 20x plus 20. And all divided by x, which is equal to negative x plus 20 over x. So this is our answer for pi bar x, the average profit function. And then the last one for question C, marginal profit function, which is pi prime x. So differentiate pi respect to x. So negative x squared, we get negative 2x. Positive 20x will be 20. So differentiate 20 will be 0 lah. That's why we have the pi prime x, the marginal profit function, equal to negative 2x plus 20. So next example. Okay, so let's continue with the last example 8. So see, now we have the revenue generated in RM by selling X units calculated is given by Rx equal to 100x minus 0.2x squared. And then the cost in RM to produce X units of calculator is given by Cx equal to 60x plus 200. So we want to find the profit function pi x, average profit function pi bar x, marginal profit function pi prime x, and average profit when 50 units of calculator are sold. So pi bar of 50. So profit function is equal to what? Yeah, revenue minus cost. So R minus C. So how to remember this? Pi RC. Pi RC. Pi RC. So how do you remember pi RC? So you can come up with acronym for this thing lah. Pi RC. Pi is pi. R is ring. Pi ring. Oh, pi ring cincin. Ring cincin. So mana dah tentu cincin ke ring? Pi ring cincin. It's up to you lah. You can come up with your own acronyms. So the next thing we substitute what is Rx. Rx equal to 100x minus 0.2x squared, and then minus the cost. So minus in a bracket. So you should put bracket here of a cost function which is 60x plus 200. So open the bracket. We have 100x minus 0.2x squared minus 60x minus 200. So the answer will be, so 100 minus 60 will be 40x, and then the x squared will be negative 0.2, still negative 0.2x squared, and then 100 minus 60 is 40, and then negative 200, the constant. So this is our pi x, which is the profit function. So the next question is average profit function. We just have to find the pi bar, which is pi x divided by x. So negative 0.2x squared plus 40x minus 200 all divided by x. We get the answer pi bar x equal to negative 0.2x plus 40 minus 200 over x. Okay, so for question C, we want to find marginal profit function, means that pi prime x. So differentiate pi x here, we have negative 0.2x squared will be negative 0.4x, and negative plus with 40x, we get plus 40. And minus 100 will be 0. So this is a marginal profit function. And lastly, the question, the average profit when 50 units of calculators are sold, means that we want to find when x equal to 50, what is the average profit? So pi bar of 50. So when x 50, pi bar 50 is equal to, substitute 50 into the pi bar function. So we get negative 0.2 of 50 plus 40 minus 200 over 50, which is equal to RM 26 ringgit. So this is our final answer lah. So we will get the average profit in producing 50 units calculator is equal to 26 ringgit. So we earn the profit here. Okay, so that's all for this part of lecture. We will continue with the next part of lecture for this application in business and economic in lecture 4. So it will be higher level. So this is only the basic. We have those three: cost, revenue, and profit. And those three we must know the function itself, the average itself, average function, and the marginal function. So that's all for this lecture. Thank you guys. You can continue with the tutorial question and miscellaneous question. Fighting!